Ladies and gentlemen, pay attention. This is your boy, the coach from the WWE. I would like to welcome you to the very first wrestling podcast in the world to take you on a weekly deep dive into classic matches along with legends of the squared circle. Enjoy the discussion. Enjoy the back and forth. There's so much to get into. Ladies and gentlemen, this is The Payoff.
Jeff, it's time. It's time. It's Vader time.
Usually I got like a craving. I don't know why, for like some slider burgers or something. We're gonna have to figure out what's going on here. But yeah, just a weird one this week. Absolutely.
White Castle.
Man, yeah. You don't
White
have them
Castle
by you, right?
of Fear strap match. They opened their first one in Vegas at some point in the last few years, and then the second one is just down the street from where I live. Okay. And it maybe not anymore, but for the first few months, I mean, there were lines like wrapped around the block out down the street. It was insane. And from what I understand, it's not that good.
Yeah. My wife and I, and growing up, that was always like, you can't eat them when it's light outside. And like, it is very much a kind of a late night snack, but then also like, there's a reason they're called sliders, is because they slide right through you. So, that's part of it. So yeah,
I don't think I've ever heard you say my wife before. And look at you growing up before my very eyes.
I know. Look at that. We've been married for 2 years. Whatever. It's fine. So
God, when I met you, you were just such a young man. I guess so was I, because we're the same. I guess so was I, because we're the same age. God,
you're talking to me like you got your AARP card coming in the mail. Like, yeah, no, it's
and the story is, and the story is, Jeff and I met outside of Starbucks for the first time, like 15, maybe not 15, but probably 13, 14 years ago. Yeah, close to 15 years ago now in our shoot work. But there you go. Yep. And it took us a number of years to discover that we were both marks for the business.
Oh boy,
that's interesting too. I don't remember exactly what had happened, but I think we'd known each other for a number of years before.
A long time. Yeah, I don't know.
Something came up, and you know how it is.
It's like, what are you doing this weekend? I'm watching Royal Rumble. Oh shit, me too. Like, yeah,
or it's some like pop culture reference of like Hulk Hogan, and like normally people like pretend like, oh yeah, I think that's like the wrestler or whatever. Oh, I used to watch that stuff or something, and then you kind of get to like, oh yeah, I fucking watch it every week. And
weird. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so.
All right, so I'm pumped to cover this one, and I feel like every few months, like you'll see something on Twitter about like Vader just beating the shit out of someone in Japan, and it's like the more Vader I see, the more I like appreciate. As a kid, I didn't appreciate just him pummeling people, and just what an incredible athlete he was, and so. I'm looking forward to covering this one. Any reason in particular you picked it?
Yeah, this was one. This is so the next couple of weeks we're in the build up to WrestleMania here for us here at the Payoff, and so I actually, these matches were the last on a run. I was texting you. I had some downtime over the last couple of weeks, so I've added about 200 matches, just under. It was like 197 matches to our list, and so we're gonna start seeing some different stuff here. I did like best of TNA, best of Monday Night Raw, best of Smack. So we're gonna start looking at some of that, but this was one that when I was kind of looking at the time frames and stuff, I was like, you know what, I know you and I like this kind of period, that the 90s, really, you and I really like this sweet spot of wrestling, but also don't talk about Surfer Sting as much. Like, everybody associates Sting with like the black and kind of what with that, but like Surfer Sting was where it started, and the blonde hair where like he's got right now. And so I just like this era too, like you said, like Vader working stiff as hell and beating the shit out of guys, like, and you kind of, it's almost like a Brock type thing. Like, you question, is he working or is he shooting? Like, what's happening here? And so, just a lot of reasons to cover this one, and kind of a weird stipulation, but we'll talk about that too as we get into it.
Well, let's jump right into the build.
Oh, it's time for the build.
So we are in Asheville, North Carolina for this one. So not far from where Sting will wrestle his final match. This show's loaded with current and future Hall of Famers for sure. Quite the card. 6,500 inside the Asheville Civic Center on February 21st, 1993. So 31 years ago. Pretty wild. We open up with the Hollywood Blondes defeating Eric Watts and Marcus Bagwell in 16 minutes. A long time for a match.
What opener. Jeez.
Then we get Too Cold Scorpio defeating Chris Benoit in 20 minutes. I got to tell you, I didn't realize Benoit was in WCW in 1993.
Really?
Yeah, and I don't know if he was like full-time at that point or like just worked a match. I guess even Scorpio, because he would have been in ECW at some point, and maybe both of them were like bouncing around. And again, different era. Some guys didn't have full-time contracts; it was just come in, work a match for $1,000, right? So that's what it could have been in both their situations. Davey Boy Smith's going to defeat Bill Irwin in 5 minutes. Cactus Jack's going to defeat Paul Orndorff in 12 minutes at a Falls Count Anywhere match. It's just wild some of the stuff that Mick Foley was doing back then, because like nobody else was. I mean, this is even like kind of pre-ECW Eastern Championship Wrestling, but I mean, you look at 1993 WWF and you weren't seeing anything. You weren't seeing any Falls Count Anywhere matches, that's for sure. You're seeing you're seeing a garbage man wrestling a clown with a plumber interfering to cost the clown the match. Rock and Roll Express is going to defeat the Heavenly Bodies in 12 minutes. Again, didn't even remember the Heavenly Bodies, Pritchard and Stan Lane, being in WCW at all. So just kind of random, some of the people coming in during this. Dustin Rhodes is going to keep the U.S. Championship in 11 minutes, defeating Max Payne by DQ. Barry Windham is going to defeat the Great Muta to win the NWA World Heavyweight Championship in 24 minutes. And then the main event's the reason we're here. Vader, Sting, White Castle of Fear strap match. How did we get to a White Castle of Fear strap match?
Yeah, this one, it's really weird. Like, and I put it on here, like some of these matches, like the Dustin Rhodes Max Payne match he gave it a -0.5 star. But then like the Rock and Roll Express, like that one was 4 stars. The Cactus Jack match was 4 stars. This one, we'll talk about it later, but it exceeded that. Like even that opening match was 3. And so it was really kind of all over the board on this one. Like, yeah, looking at this card, you'd be like, nowadays you're like, damn, look at all the names on that. But at the time, you're like, it's kind of a weirdly structured card with who was doing what here. So, the biggest thing here, of course, and we'll talk about the stipulation, but the White Castle of Fear strap match, there's actually kind of some double meaning here, as we'll talk about. But the title was not on the line. Vader actually had the belt, the WCW World Heavyweight Championship at this time. But because the reason for that is because this was actually a non-sanctioned match. And so kind of weird, and I'll explain why that was the case too, but kind of weird. But we'll rewind a little bit here. And so Vader paired with Harley Race, we'll see him throughout this match on this one. He received a shot at Sting's world title. It was actually April 12th, 1992. So we're going back just under a year at this point. He was DQ'd. Actually, Sting was injured pretty badly on that one from a Vader bomb, actually like shoot hurt. And so he, didn't work too much. The report I said is he had a ruptured spleen and cracked ribs, which talk about working stiff, like, geez. And so he ended up getting a rematch. It was July 12th, Great American Bash, which he won the title in that one. He actually lost it to Ron Simmons, actually just like a couple weeks later, about a month later, because he hurt his knee. He had Sting getting involved in that one as well, too. He was out of action for a bit because of knee surgery. And then at Starrcade, Vader lost to Sting in the finals. It was the King of Cable tournament. But then 2 days later, he defeated Ron Simmons, like this time, who still had the belt, to regain the title. And so that's how Sting kind of heading into this match Vader had the title, but not being defended. At the same time here, you had Sting. He beat Cactus Jack. It was the Falls Count Anywhere match at Beach Blast. It was actually then he had, of course, the fabled Jake the Snake Roberts Coal Miner's Glove match, as we all know, at Halloween Havoc, with the new, or I say a newcomer, Jake the Snake. And then he kind of had a little bit of back and forth. Just like these guys had a lot of matches. Like the feud continued like this whole time, or like through 92 into 93, and we get this match. Now I'm gonna how we got this match. Like that was the question you always asked me. And so, did you have the opportunity to watch the video that I sent you about this match? It's okay if not.
I did.
Okay, so this was at the time there was a promo. I'm not even going to call it a promo. It was a mini movie is what it was being called at the time for why we got this match. And so it was kind of thrown down ahead of time. It dealt with both White Castle, the restaurant, as being the sponsor, but then also Vader living in a quote White Castle, but not a like White Castle, as we all know, the building, like the white kind of arches on the building, or it looks like a castle, like a White Castle building does. No, he actually, like, they were using it as like not only like castle, but like lair is the best way to put it. And so I'll talk about it a little bit more during the match because it's weird, but this one pretty much Vader invited Sting to his quote White Castle. And then it ended up being during that, Vader asked him to play a game. That was kind of the theme throughout this, was play a game. And Sting, the mini movie ended with a strap match being shown, kind of getting pulled. And then a movie explosion and to be continued. And so that was how we got this match. I'll talk about it a little bit more and go into the details of that one. But the mini movie, like these guys' long feud, obviously a sponsorship with White Castle, the restaurant, and just wanting to have a match is how we got this match. Really weird, but yeah, that's where we're at. But hopefully, luckily, the match is, I think, going to be a lot better than the setup. So, yeah.
Whew. WCW 1993. And I can tell you what was going on. The other channel wasn't much better.
Yeah, no kidding. Yep.
I don't know. Some of it's probably a sign of the times, but I just think wrestling's a lot better right now than it was. I mean, there's a romanticism to some of this stuff, but I mean, it's just you look at you look at AEW, you look at WWE, you look at TNA, you look at the stuff that's being done now, and it's just but the characters. I mean, these actual people, I think, are so much more interesting. Like they don't make Jake Roberts anymore, they don't make Vaders anymore, and some of that's probably a good thing, but.
Yep, absolutely.
All right. So we are at the 2-hour, 25-minute mark of Super Brawl 3, Season 3, Episode 1 on Peacock. I don't know how much longer we're going to say that because, who knows what's going to happen with this stuff. And maybe we'll get into that.
On Netflix soon, yeah.
Sure. Maybe. We'll see. So 2-hour, 25-minute mark, Super Brawl 3, Season 1, Episode 1 on Peacock. Are you ready?
Let's do it.
All right. It's time for the payoff.
Ho! It's time for the payoff.
All right, here we go. Surfer Sting.
Yep.
White hair, got the I don't know what they call that, the squared top that he had.
Flat top.
Is there a name for that? Just a flat top. Okay.
Just a flat top. Yep.
So flat top. Thing looks like $1 million.
I think the only reason I know that is because that's the line from Ghostbusters where they're at the end of the movie is like, aim for the flat top. And so that's what he's got. So, yeah. So
Sting, I mean, I'm just observing this. I mean, Sting with like the colorful outfit. I mean, it's just like, him and the Ultimate Warrior and Randy Savage. I mean, there's only a handful that like, really had the different outfits each time. I mean, crazy colors and combinations. I mean, totally like 80s, early 90s. I mean, it's just awesome. It probably cost a fortune to have new gear made literally for every event. I mean, maybe they'd wear the same stuff on like a house show loop, but look at this outfit Sting's wearing. He wasn't wearing it again on TV, I'd guess. So just pretty wild, man. It's like I just, there's something to be said for like the standard gear and the consistency of it, the Hulk Hogan, right? But man, it's like having that wild, different gear. I mean, it just adds an entire element to the character. And then you put in the face paint. And again, him and Warrior, man, just some iconic outfits over the years. I mean, that's why in a lot of ways, I prefer this version of Sting. The Crow Sting thing for me, and maybe this is like, sacrilegious to say, but I just never did anything for me. Like I never really understood the character, cared. I think what they did building up the, Starrcade 97 was cool, but it did nothing for me. Like, I mean, he's basically been the same character for 97 to 2023, right? And I mean, I know there's been some wrinkles and some different elements, but like even when he came back to AEW, I'm like, man, like do something different. Like, and I think that's been part of why I'm just like, I'm indifferent to Sting, because there's not like, it was unique when he came into WWE and did a couple matches, right? But at the same time, it's like, do something different to it. Put some different colors into it. I mean, I know you probably can't grow out a white flat top again, but like, what can you do that's like interesting with this character? And I just feel like it's too, I just feel like it's been too bland for too long. And, it's kind of just like rolling out the greatest hits. Like, Chris Jericho, he's tried different stuff, different characters. I kind of prefer that to just coming out and doing the same thing. I know how you feel about Goldberg coming out and doing the same thing, right? But it's just like, I like when there's some different elements. I mean, I'm not a major Seth Rollins fan, but I like the fact that like there's the different different outfits and different elements and doing different things and changing up the character. And, even Edge in AEW, it's the same shit, right? Like, I mean, even when he came back to WWE, I was like, why are you still calling yourself rated R superstar? You're not a rated R. You were a rated R superstar when you were, doing a sex scene with Lita in the middle of the ring on Raw.
Yeah. Now people don't know, they don't even know where that's from anymore. Yeah.
Yeah. You're a 55-year-old dude with 2 kids, 2 young daughters. Like, you're not the rated R superstar. Nothing about your character is rated R. So why are you coming back doing that? I didn't understand that, but sure. Okay. It worked in WWE, do it. Then he goes to AEW. He's the rated R superstar Adam Copeland with the same music. And I'm like, what are you doing? Like, why not like change up the character? Like, okay, maybe the gear's the same, but don't be rated R. Like, do some different stuff. Like, have a different element to it. I don't understand that. Like, I think it's lazy.
Yeah.
I think like for Edge to go to AEW, he went there so he could stretch his creative muscles and wasn't doing whatever WWE told him. I get all that. Well, then do it. Like, evolve your character. Christian did, right? So anyways, just my thought there. But I do love this presentation of Sting.
It's interesting though, because then you think to like Cody, where the argument was like, they're paying for the package. Like when he made his debut, that one, and the music was the same, and all the present.
But to me, you're buying the package in its prime.
Yeah,
Cody, you're in the absolute prime of your career. You're knocking the cover off the ball. Let's continue that on a bigger, newer stage. That's a lot different than, okay, Sting, you've been doing this character for 26 years now, 27 years now, 97 to 2024.
Yeah. And I think
Adam Copeland, you've been doing this character, this rated R superstar character for, I don't know. I mean, it hasn't been for all of 15, 20 years, but factoring in the retirement, you were doing it before, you're doing it after. So I've been seeing the rated R superstar for 20 years now.
Yeah, and I think something like Jade, like I question how many people really knew about like Jade Cargill before she came over. Like,
they don't, and that's the thing. Right. The internet doesn't understand. And I'm going to sound like an old man here, but like I didn't really know who Ric Flair was until he entered the WWF in 1991. Okay, I didn't know who he was. I knew of him from the magazines. I had never seen a Ric Flair promo. Right? I had never seen him on TV. I didn't know anything. Like, you can't assume that everyone knows everything because, everyone on Twitter knows who Jade Cargill is. Yeah, but the 9-year-old at the WWE event doesn't. And they don't want it's horrible for optics if someone comes out and nobody knows who that is, because then they look like they're not a star. and we've invested all this time and all this money into her, and we can't have her come out to nothing. That's why they brought her out of the car. That's why they had the face off with Charlotte, so they could introduce this person to a new audience. It made a lot of sense. By the way, really good match so far. I mean, Vader's bumping around. They're both doing it. I mean,
they're popping really for everything Sting does. Yeah.
Well, were you going to say something about Jade?
Well, with that, a great debut, but also I think more so to your point, what you're just saying, like, did you see some of the online kind of discussion around like WWE needs to fix their entrance music?
I did. I've been kind of off wrestling Twitter I'm kind of burned out right now, and everyone's a lawyer and a legal expert and a sexual assault expert, and I actually caught wind of this. I want to watch wrestling and be entertained. The concept of I've been bitching about this for years now. You make these like robotic, machine generated theme music.
It's all stock music. Yeah,
it's all stock music. It's not interesting. It doesn't distinguish itself. It's like I heard Vince like demanded that Seth do the burn it down to start his theme. Yeah. And I guess he didn't want to, or he didn't like it at first.
He had him at it. Yeah.
Yeah. And then he's like, oh wow, that's good. Like that burn it down's iconic. Cause after that, like that, but that's what you need that, right? Yep. Or even like the beginning of the Shield music, right? Like you need that iconic. And then of course, CM Punk, Cult of Personality, one of my favorite entrance musics ever. Real American, one of my favorite. I mean, Edge, phenomenal, right? Randy Orton. So like all our favorite music, Shawn Michaels, right? Like all our favorite music, and Vader bleeding pretty good, huh?
Bad off his back, yeah. Well,
is that where it's coming from his back? Oh, okay, I couldn't tell it was hit him with through his dress.
Yeah. Well, I think with all
you understand what I'm saying. So like, why are you making all this weird robotic music? Like, I mean, Bianca's got great music. Sasha had great music. Trish, great music. Charlotte, obviously,
what are the
Rick.
themes? What are the themes we remember? It's ones we can either sing along to, or there's some kind of tone in it where we can engage with it. Like Cody, one of the loudest pops of any night is when they do the whoa, like in his theme.
I think a general rule of thumb should be every theme song can be sung to. Nakamura. Yeah. Phenomenal, right?
Oh yeah.
Seth right now. I mean, Jericho. I mean, get these music where it's like it's just you can just like imagine the UK crowd sing or the Night After Raw crowd singing along to it.
And the reason I got tapped
make
into
every
this,
theme that way.
I was listening to Pat McAfee after he was at the Royal Rumble because he was given some kind of
he's got great music.
Yeah, even he did, but he was saying he was sitting there with Michael Cole. He's like, I had to watch the Jumbotron, I had to watch the Titantron because I had no clue who was coming out. Like, and so like, and he's right. Like there was a lot of the Rumble, and I think the men's hurt more than the women's. But I think because like you just didn't know who it was. Like it was crazy. Like LWO, I don't know who some of those were. Like some of the themes are just so like out there, and so I do think it's an area that needs improvement. I'm sure they're hearing it too. It got real loud on Twitter there for a little while and kind of Reddit and stuff like that. But yeah, I think what I remember too. My favorite one is Enzo and Cass. Like when they were a big thing. I remember one of the first weeks. My brother actually, who was like, "Here, you could buy their theme right here," because it was a stock music. Like anybody could buy it. I was watching some TV show and I heard somebody's theme too. Like it just like these little it just kind of it's weird, and even I had to like double take, and so and
it's interesting because like wrestling fans will sing along to just about anything. Like even if the guy's not over, like I remember great examples Ryback. I mean, Feed Me More got super over.
And he trademarked it or whatever.
Yeah, but it got like really over. And even during the match, feed me more. I mean, this stuff gets over. Like even Drew McIntyre with the sword. At first, I kind of thought it was hokey. And then I'm like, this is kind of badass, right? But it's like iconic. And then the bagpipes and it's him. Like,
you need something.
Spend more time getting that. Make it your goal to get that for everyone. Everyone should. Why can't everyone have an iconic entrance theme?
Well,
and I know not all of them are going to be all-time greats, but like,
yeah,
I mean, dude, CM Punk coming out at Survivor Series, you kidding me? But that doesn't happen if he doesn't have that music. I don't care how over Punk is. If he doesn't have iconic music that within the first
5 seconds,
I mean, it's
not even
2 seconds, right?
Yep. Yeah. The gong hits. I know who's coming. Like you like I was gonna say 5 seconds, and you're right. You need to know.
Dude, this match is fantastic, by the way.
They're working a fast pace. They're in the ring because of the strap. A whole lot of this, like Vader, like Sting is doing some moves. He did like a high drop kick too, like a standing drop kick to Vader. And Vader's even flying all over the place on this one too. So these guys just beating the hell out of each other. Yeah, both. I think Vader's again the magic of bleeding in wrestling. Vader's not bleeding off his back anymore. It doesn't look like, but maybe a little bit there. But Sting is not yet, and so Harley Race got involved a little bit there too. He's on the outside with Vader, and so Vader just kind of manhandling Sting at this point. Yeah. So I want to talk a little bit more about this match, of course, though, and kind of how we got here. So so this was a mini movie that got put out. It started with actually Sting in a helicopter trying to find Vader because Sting had gotten invitation from Vader that said, please come to a SuperBrawl party at my White Castle of Fear. And so Sting couldn't find the castle. So of course, then the helicopter pilot was like, there it is. And all it is like a cave in a mountain. And it was literally, they're flying over mountains. They've got like B-roll footage and all this other stuff. And so really weird, just kind of stuff. And then of course he tricks Sting. So then he gets into this cave, and then he's, with Vader and, these like women, and it's just really weird. And so, but it ends though, like I said, with, they're having this tug of war with the rope, and then they're both pulling it, and then just this movie explosion, and then to be continued. And so just as weird as it was, as weird as the kind of product placement is, I don't mind this. It does make wrestling a little weird, but at the same time, Vader messing up there, trying to climb through the ropes with the strap, has got to go up the other way.
I was wondering if he'd figure that out.
Yeah, he figured it out. Yeah, he had it messed up a little bit there, but he that was the long way to get to the second rope.
This is like the fifth time Vader's been on the ropes. He's about to pull.
Oh, yeah, got him dropped there. But yeah, I don't mind. Like I said, give me some of this stuff isn't bad. It harkens back to even Undertaker's last match, or you get something the final deletion where you're telling a little bit of a story. I don't mind this. I actually think that I think we're going to start seeing more of this, especially with Kevin Dunn gone. I think that with we're going to see some different production type things happening. There's been a lot more. I've liked since they were doing it, but these behind the walk and talks that they've been doing in backstage. I think that's all really good. I think just
I heard Netflix. Yeah. Someone said something somewhere that with the Netflix Raw deal, you're going to start to get more reality presentation of people.
Yeah. Yep. I could absolutely see that.
I've argued. I mean, the Drew McIntyre character, whatever. But when I saw him quit, show up at a random indie show in Scotland, work his way back up, learn the backstory on all the sacrifices he made, now I care about the guy. And I think overall, WWE has done a horrendous job of telling the story of, it's like we as fans have to seek this out. We have to listen to a guy on a podcast tell his story, and then you're like, holy shit. I the Seth Rollins character I actually don't like, but everything I've heard of the actual dude, I actually really like. I think he's a really, really good, likable person.
Yeah.
And so I like him for that reason. Roman Reigns, I mean, he just seems cool as shit. He seems like a good dude. He's got a bunch of kids. He's a family man. He doesn't want to be on the road all the time. He seems like a fucking choir boy. I like the guy.
He did a Make-A-Wish kid at Royal Rumble. Did you see that video?
The kid holding the kid was holding on like Roman was walking to a boxing match, holding on. I mean, I got a little tear in my eye, watching that. The Make-A-Wish kid holding on to him. And that's when it's funny, my comment to that on Twitter was, this guy's going to be the biggest baby face in the world whenever he wants. Meaning whenever they or he or whenever the decision is made to make him a baby face, okay, he is going to be the biggest baby face in the company. He will be a bigger baby face than CM Punk. He will be a bigger baby face than Cody. I promise you. You think Cody is a baby face? He will be bigger. I promise. He will be a bigger baby face than John Cena was. I'm telling you, this guy is going to be Stone Cold, Hulk Hogan, you name it, whenever they decide to pull the trigger on him. And it's not going to be hard to do. Bloodline can beat the shit out of him and put him on the shelf. You can do a double turn with somebody. I mean, hell, I'm not suggesting it. You could double turn Cody and Roman at WrestleMania if you wanted to. Because I think they're going to end up doing the John Cena thing with Cody, and he's going to be a baby face forever, and it's going to kind of get old, but he's going to sell so much merch and be such a good ambassador for the company that they're probably going to keep him a baby face forever. But I think it's going to kind of get stale, especially with guys our age. So I think you could turn him.
Yeah.
And maybe they will. Punk, he's going to be a heel at some point, right? But you probably have a good 12-month run of him as a huge baby face coming off the injury, blah, blah, blah. So let that run its course and then turn him heel. But at some point, that was awesome.
Big rolling kick there from Sting to Vader.
This match is good. This match is
into it.
Fantastic. Got to watch this match.
Well,
but you understand what I'm saying. I mean,
yes.
Change his music, change the presentation, ditch Paul Heyman, let him talk for himself, make him, Superman babyface. I'm telling you, he could have another 3-year title run as a babyface if you really wanted to.
Ooh,
he's going to be that good. I mean, he's going to be awesome.
Giant release suplex there from Sting to Vader overhead. Yeah. Well,
which is the argument of why you should have made John Cena heel, because if you would have, you had what, 20 years of this guy on top, right? So it's like take 2 years, make Cena a heel, go run every match back with him as a heel instead of a baby face. The Ortons, the Punks, the Edges. You run him back as a heel against all his rivals, Batista. Then you make him a baby, and he would have been a huge baby face. So, anyways, I cannot wait for that.
I've got on our list, so as a fatal, it was not a fatal 4-way, but it was from the fatal 4-way pay-per-view in 2010. I have a Drew McIntyre and Kofi Kingston match on our list for the future here. And so this was like, Drew does not look anything like he looked then. And so this was the bait. So, and I wanted to go back to that. So spoiler, eventually we will get to that one, but yeah, I'm with you. But also I remember too, going back to the music, wait, what was an argument when Roman kept coming out to the Shield music, and then they did change his music and the whole presentation changed, and like it was absolutely worth it. And so Sting's got Vader up on his shoulders. Jesus,
he's had him on his shoulders for 20 seconds. He's carrying him by one leg.
He's walking him around the room. Vader's kind of holding himself.
I forgot about the whole strap match stipulation. They really haven't touched the corners at all, have they?
Yeah, you have to touch the 4 corners. Yeah, that was.
Yeah, I forgot about this. Okay, so he's going for the 4th corner now.
And the ref
got
it, but the ref didn't see it. Yeah. Really. Sting definitely bleeding.
Sting's bleeding too. This is like, dude, this is one of the better matches we've watched in a long time.
The ring's pretty. I think the Vader blade job maybe. It looks like he's dripping there. Yep. And
hey, before I forget, I wanted to share the top strap matches of all time.
Oh yeah,
because if I share it next week, it's going to be kind of not relevant.
We're running low on time. Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, I know. And there's other stuff we can get to. So I'm going through the top 13 ever. I'm starting with 13 and I'll work my way to 1. Extreme Rules 2010, JTG versus Shad Gaspard. 12, Sheamus Mark Henry, Extreme Rules 2013. Orton Dusty Rhodes, Great American Bash 2007. Put that on our list immediately. Orton, Dusty Rhodes, Great American Bash 2007. McIntyre, Karrion Kross, 2022, Extreme Rules. Dusty Rhodes, Billy Graham, 1978. Cena and Rusev, a Russian chain match, Extreme Rules 2015. Punk Umaga, 2009. Lesnar Undertaker, biker chain match, No Mercy, 2003. Dexter Loomis and Cameron Grimes, 2020 TakeOver.
I remember that one, yep.
Number 4, Fiend Daniel Bryan, 2020 Royal Rumble. Man, look at Vader.
Covered in blood, yep.
Covered in blood, wins the match.
Getting the win, yeah.
Bullshit finish. Place all standing up, going nuts. And you're going to get the happy ending because Sting's going to beat the hell out of him. Number 3, Guerrero JBL, Great American Bash 2004.
Yep, I remember that one. Yep.
Number 2, Rock Triple H, Fully Loaded 1999.
Yep.
And your top one ever. So this match didn't even make the list, which is absurd. Your top one ever, Austin Savio Vega, In Your House, Beware a Dog.
Savio Vega. All right.
So kind of a bullshit list. Here, I'm going to pull up one. I got one more for you real quick. I'm going to give you 5 of them, and then we'll get to the aftermath. Piper Valentine at Starrcade.
Yep.
Sting Vader, the match we just covered. Austin Savio Vega again. Rock Triple H again. And then Guerrero JBL again. So, yeah, some interesting matches. All right, let's get to the aftermath.
Ho! It's time for the aftermath.
So what'd you think of this?
I would definitely I don't know how this match was left off of that one list you have, but then also like this definitely exceeded what I expected. Like it was bloody, it was stiff, it was like the rope that like actually kind of made sense. It didn't take away from like other than like Vader forgetting how to climb the ropes, but
they worked around it really well. When I saw a strap match, I was just like, this was fantastic.
Yeah, absolutely. And so I think this just really exceeded what I thought it could have been. And so with that, though, so Vader, he actually ended up losing the championship to Sting, but then less than a week later got it back after this. He then got into it with Mick Foley a little bit. He was Cactus Jack at this time, them having a match, and then, of course, them having their big match on the concrete floor, kind of the severe bleeding from their matches, like just they're absolutely just violent matches. There's no other way to put it. And so them feuding a little bit at that point. And then Sting on the flip side here, of course, he actually, so when he did win that belt back, it was in London, and then he lost it in Ireland. And so that's how that one kind of played out. He then started teaming up with Davey Boy Smith. They actually beat Vader and Sid Vicious. It was Beach Blast. It was, again, another mini movie with that one where they blew up Sting's boat. I need to go back and rewatch that one. I forgot about that. But yeah, and Sting, he was actually getting into it. Because Flair returning at this point too from WWFE, and then he actually that was after winning the title or over Vader at Starrcade at the end of the year. So just these guys kept going at it, like the stories continued and stuff like that. Like it just really good stuff overall. So in 1993, Sting was 4 on the PWI and Vader was 2. This was actually fairly close. That this was the match of the night by getting 146 votes on the Observer, but 121 went to the Benoit Too Cold Scorpio match, and then a 370s for some other matches. So just overall, really good stuff. Meltzer on this one. SuperBrawl was one of the best pay-per-view shows. Vader Sting was fantastic and the best strap match I've ever seen. These two are working the best series of matches since Flair's Steamboat, and they may even be surpassing those classics. All 3 of their pay-per-view matches have been different, unlike most programs. 4.25 stars. So, Tom, what are you feeling on this one?
I think you've already gotten an idea how I feel. I think this match was phenomenal. I think that they worked the gimmick well. Just phenomenal. It's a great main event in my mind. I mean, just A+. So you want my payoff score?
Of course.
Yeah, man, I'm going to put this at an 8.
Okay.
I think it was that good. I love the match. I think it was about as it's one of the best matches we've covered in a long time. Just really, really fantastic. So I have it in 8. How about you?
I was actually at a 9. And so
there you go.
I think it was that good. It's crazy. But I think that just overall, this was one that I would tell people to go watch this one if you can get over the blood, but at the same time, it made sense because they're literally fighting with a strap. And so, you couldn't not do that. And so, I just think that this was one that the in-ring action was good. Like I said, sometimes you just need a little nonsense in your, a little magic in your wrestling. And this is what this was. Who cares that it was a bad mini movie ahead of time? It still worked really well. And so I was a fan. So I just think that, no reason to not enjoy this and, have fun with it. So
really fun one. Good job finding this. I did not know of this match or.
Yeah, we got some more deep cuts coming up in the following weeks, especially with our build up to WrestleMania. As we got what do we got here? We still got a little bit of time here, but by the end of March, the end of next month, we will be fully in the WrestleMania season, and then most of March is or most of April is WrestleMania season. But next week we're going to go back to NXT, and then after that, I guess with how good this match was, I had to include just a shitty one. And so in 2 weeks we got Hogan and Savage in the Alliance to end Hulkamania, which is going to just be awful. I'm not even looking forward to it, but I'm super excited for it too. So so some good stuff coming up here. But I do want to remind everybody too, of course, our sponsors here at the Payoff. Don't forget about manscaped.com. Using that promo code Payoff, it's getting you 20% off. Normally you might only get 10, 15. So make sure to use our code in the store, everything in the store. There's new stuff coming out all the time, especially now that the weather's getting a little bit nicer. You want to look your best. You want to feel your best. It doesn't matter if you're covered up, it's your balls. It doesn't matter if it's your face. You want to trim up that beard from the winter beard, whatever you're looking for at manscaped.com. Use that promo code Payoff. It's getting you 20% off. And of course, don't forget that free shipping as well. So with that, Tom, let's send them home happy.
Great episode. Really enjoyed it. We got a couple good ones coming up too. You did a good job with the schedule, man. It still blows my mind how many hundreds and I guess thousands of really interesting wrestling matches are out there. Obviously, some of them are infamous, and we got one of those coming up in 2 weeks. But just really fun. So great job. Appreciate everyone listening, and we'll see you next week on an all new episode of The Payoff.